What's up, everyday blades? Got a treat for you today. So, Boker knives. I'm pretty sure Boker Kalashnikov was one of my early knives. I believe it was my first automatic. I thought that was the coolest knife I'd ever seen before I went down the rabbit hole of our world. So then I went to another Boker, and I forget the name of it. It was a little bit nicer, and got into Benchmade and Microtech and on and on and on. But I didn't realize, I didn't stick with Boker long enough to realize they had some really high-end stuff, some really unique stuff. Through my years of doing reviews and having the group, I've noticed that, and I've seen a few. They're just not common that you see like in our world. It's more modern knives, but this one was unique. It caught my eye. I do a lot of pawn shop hunting. I go to hundreds of pawn shops. Usually don't find anything. Every once in a while I run across a killer knife. Sometimes I run across a deal on a Benchmade or two or a Spyderco and sell them and make a couple of dollars. This one was absolutely unique. Now when I saw it in the case, it didn't look unique. The guy told me it was unique, and I was like, yeah, heard that one before. You know, it had some grime on it, and it had been sitting in that case. This was an old mom and pop pawn shop. It had been sitting in that case for, man, I bet 10, 15 years. So he pulled it out, and when I looked at it closer, I seen that it was Damascus, and I was like, okay, yeah, the Damascus is kind of cool. And this was so dirty, it looked like plastic. It's not. It's burl wood. Stabilized burl wood. It's beautiful. Take a look at that a little closer. Also, this thing is super, super light. First of all, this is the Boker Eurofighter. I think it's Boker Eurofighter and Damascus. Boker, if you're familiar, Boker 300 Logan. Not familiar with what that means. In Solingen, Germany, that's where they're made. I don't know if the 300 Logan is a series of knives. Very little information on this knife. I don't think they made a whole lot of them. I found a couple, like one for sale on eBay for an astronomical price, but it was like brand new, still in the box. I didn't get the box or anything, which is kind of heartbreaking because it was a nice wooden box with all the literature. So I did pull some documents up off of it and read about it. And this Damascus is forged from an old tank cannon. And unlike a lot of the modern Damascus and Damasteels, you can feel the Damascus. I mean, you can feel the pattern. It's heavily etched, and it's just beautiful. I cleaned it really well, almost to the point of buffing it, and it took a lot of the dark, from the acid bath you give it to make the color stand out. Took a lot of that off, but it really didn't matter because in daylight with the naked eye, you can still see all this. It's just beautiful. It was a historic tank cannon from overseas somewhere. I didn't read that far into it, but with the titanium scales, it's a liner lock. It was just above and beyond any Boker I'd ever seen. I'm not a big fan of Damasteel. I think it's beautiful. I'm not a fan of it for any type of knife you're going to use, because I had a really expensive one at one point and used it a few times, and it started to wear off, the etching, where you couldn't even tell that part was Damasteel, and it looked terrible. So I thought, man, what would you do? Just keep acid dipping that thing every few months? And it just seemed like something I didn't want to deal with. But this one is unique because this is going to stay here no matter what you do. It's going to be beautiful. So I put only thing that kind of deters me a little bit from a knife I would like is the recurve. As a knife sharpener, so I put a razor sharp mirror edge on it. As a knife sharpener, that's a bit of a pain, but it's not too bad. I still sharpened it with my wicked edge, and it still made a beautiful edge. Let's check the weight on it. 4.5 ounces. That's, man, for a knife this size, that is very, very light. Let me give you the overall length of it. That's a 9-inch, little over 9 inches. with a 4-inch blade. So that's a good size knife for 4.5 ounces. Here's it against the Benchmade bug out. This really tells you how big it is. The Benchmade bug out's not a big knife, but definitely not a small knife. That's the Spyderco Delica. Good size knife. And one a little bit closer, Shirogorov F95, which is definitely not a small knife. It's still bigger than the Shirogorov. So when I looked at the reviews on this, there was a couple of old reviews. Still not a ton of reviews on there. There just must not have been very many of these. And I noticed where it says Eurofighter, it says Damast, D-A-M-A-S-T, and it stops. There's nothing else. I don't know if that's German for Damasteel, for Damascus, and this had this unique logo on here, Maker's Mark or whatever it is. So you can see the detail there in the Damascus, just extremely cool. Like I said, there's a ton of Damascus out these days, but it's all just surface deep. When they acid etch it, you just can't see the detail in it if you start to wear on it a little bit. This one is, it's got depth to it. Super cool. Anyway, I just wanted to show that off. It's a really cool knife, and I just wanted to share it. I've actually sold this one. That's why I had to do a review late tonight. Didn't want to lose a chance to capture it, but the Boker Eurofighter in Damascus, forged from a tank cannon, a historical tank cannon. Very cool. Kind of surprising from Boker. But anyway, guys, thanks for watching. God bless you and your families. Say a prayer for our country.